Hi, my name is Ed Gonzalez, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about creating custom portals using report URLs that are automatically populated from IBM Cognos Analytics. Alright, well before we get started, I just wanted to do a very quick poll to see what type of content you guys would like to see in the future. At the top of the screen you should see a link that'll take you to a very quick poll. Unfortunately, it only gives us 4 choices, so if there's something that you would like to see that's not listed on there, please add it to the comments section. And you would also see this link at the end of the video as well. Thanks. So let's get started. Now, IBM Cognos Analytics already allows us to share reports and dashboards using simple URLs. And this functionality comes right out of the box. And we can see those URLs by clicking on the share or embed link associated with a report. Now, the share link provides us with a simple URL. And by clicking on that URL, it'll bypass the Cognos Analytics portal and go straight to the report. The embed functionality provides us a code snippet that we can embed into an actual report, embed into an actual web page. That way, when you open up a web page, whether it's on your intranet site or on your personal web page, it'll show the report alongside other content that you might have there. Now, this already is pretty powerful stuff. We can do a lot with this as is. But if we take a look at the documentation here, we can see that we also have the ability to add other options to this URL. And the 2 options that are probably most powerful and most used are, number 1, the option to choose what format we want our report in. So we can override the default format and let users download or use the report in HTML, PDF, Excel, or even CSV. And the second option that's pretty powerful is down here, and that's the ability to pass in report parameters. So in our web page, we can either hard code or we can give users the ability to choose prompts before even running the report, so that the report's already filtered by the time it's returned to our web page. Okay. So with this information, now with the ability to grab the URLs from directly from Cognos Analytics, along with those additional options, we already have enough information to create a simple portal. We can take those URLs or that iframe and we can hard code those right into a web page and create a simple portal. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've done that in the past. I know people who have done it and it's worked very well. It's very easy to create and it works really great for small sets of reports. But for this demonstration, I wanted to go a little bit further. And what I wanted to do was to dynamically create a portal. So I wanted the URLs in my portal page to be dynamically populated simply by pointing to a folder right within Cognos Analytics. Now, being able to do this provides us with some additional benefits. Well, the first one is, of course, that it's very quick to spin up new portals. Once you have a template created, simply by pointing your code to a new or a different folder in Cognos Analytics will provide new content into your portal. And by that same token, it reduces maintenance. So if you have a folder with reports that change quite often, so you're adding reports, removing reports on a regular basis, since our URLs are not hard-coded into our portal, those changes will show up automatically in our custom portal. And then finally, we piggyback on security. Since we have to be logged in order to read that list of reports that's going to be populated in our portal, we only see the reports that we have access to. So if a report or a folder is shared amongst different users and each user has access to different reports, only the reports that user has access to will show up in their portal. So that's all well and good. So now the question is, how do we get that list of reports automatically from Cognos Analytics? Well, the first way is by using the SDK. And this, again, works really well. There are a lot of examples in the SDK and how to query the content store to get back a list of reports that are in a given folder. But while this works and while there's plenty of examples of that out there, I didn't really want to go the SDK route because not everyone has access to the SDK. So I wanted to stick to the browser level. I wanted this to work on the browser and stick with JavaScript. That way all of the code is condensed into one simple location, and we don't have to worry about creating other applications in Java or C#. The problem is that there was no documented way on how to do it within JavaScript. So it took me a little while to figure out how to do that. And I'm going to show that to you right now. So if we bounce back over to our Cognos Analytics portal, we can see that we can traverse and click through our folder structure to get down to our list of reports. So what I did was quite simply, using Chrome, I went ahead and turned on the developer tools, and I clicked on network here so we could see the network traffic that's going on. I can see what information is being passed from my browser over to the Cognos server and what's coming back from the Cognos server to my browser. So here, simply by clicking on here, we can see that our browser sent this URL over to the Cognos server. If we click on this, we can get a little bit more information as to what happened there. If we look at general, we can see the URL that Cognos passed over to the server in order to get a list of reports. So if I copy this, and I'm going to test this by copying this and using a REST client called Rested. Now, this is simply a testing tool to test URLs and test REST APIs. And Rested is not the only one out there. There's quite a few other ones. One of my favorites is called Postman. This just happens to be one that I have already installed in Chrome. So I go ahead, I paste this here, and then I go ahead and I click Send Request. Now the first thing we notice is that it failed. We had a return code of 403, or forbidden. So if we go back to this request that we made here, and we take a look down here a little bit lower to the request headers, we can see that there's a lot of stuff that we're passing from our browser back to the Cognos server. But there's one in particular here, this one at the bottom, XRSF token. So if I copy this and I bring that back over to my REST client, we go to headers, we pop this in here. Let's go ahead and cut this out of here. So what we're doing here is, along with this URL, we're passing a parameter along with the header. And that parameter is the XSRF token. So now, if we click Send Request, we can see that we have a return code of 200. And we can see what Cognos sent back to the browser. And it is some data in JSON format. So everything that we need to create our URLs is contained right within this JSON information here. So very important to understand that this is not that difficult to do, or at least the concept of it is not too difficult to do, but you are going to need some JavaScript background, some JavaScript skills in order to do this. You need to know how to do an HTTP request, how to pass variables into header, and then of course finally how to parse this information that gets returned. And that's very important because, as I mentioned before, this is an undocumented technique. Which means that if you have problems troubleshooting it, have trouble figuring out how to do it, Cognos support will not be able to help you. So that's just something to keep in mind. Make sure you have the skills to do this, not only to do this, but also to support it once you have it created. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at a portal here. Let's go here. First thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to sign out so that I can make sure that my portal is actually being the one that signs in here. So it's portal 1 login. All right. So This is a simple login form that I created on my portal. This is very similar to sample code that gets shipped with Cognos. So within Cognos, there's in the sample folder, you should be able to find an example called embedded. I think it's called embedded something. But if you look in the sample folder, in that folder called embedded something or another, you'll find some examples of how to create a logon screen, or they have a logon screen that you can use and to tweak to meet your requirements. This one already happens to be here, so I'm going to go ahead and click on submit here, and it opens up my portal. Now we can see on here, I don't have any information on here yet. In a production environment, I would probably already have the path to my folder, or the folder ID already hard-coded in there, so that when a user opens it up, they see a list of reports on the left-hand side. I did not do that. Instead, I created a text box on the top, so I can change out report IDs on the fly. And that works really well for demonstration purposes. So now that I have this, let's go back to my portal itself. And let's grab some IDs here for this folder. So I'm going to start with standard reports. Go to properties, advanced. Let's grab this ID right here. Yeah. That's it. Take that back over to my portal. I'll drop that right in here, paste it, and now search. Then we can see right away it brought back a list of the reports that are in my portal. If we can take another quick look over here, we can see that the number of reports here match the number of reports that are listed here. And quite simply, we have our list of reports here with the URLs, and we have an iframe on the right-hand side. So when I click on one of these, it's going to pass the URL to this iframe to run the report. So let's go ahead and start right away with employee survey. Now it's coming up. It's taken a little while. I'm not quite sure why it's running a little slow today, but it did pop up fairly quickly here. And we can see that we do have our report. And we can go ahead and we can pick another one here. Let's try sales summary here. Once again, taking a couple of seconds to load. That has more to do with the computer I'm running this on than the portal itself. I have everything loaded on one single laptop, so it's running a little bit slow here. But once it comes up, we can see that we do have the report. And all the functionality that's available to us in our report is still here. So we can go ahead and we can filter here. And now we have the filter, and we can see that all of our functionality is still here. And we also have the ability to run dashboards as well. So these are standard reports, but we can run dashboards as well. So if we go back here, and let's take a look at our dashboard samples here. Go properties, advanced. Let's go ahead and copy this guy. Copy it. Back to our portal. Let's go ahead and pop this in. Right. And we can see right away we have our 4 dashboards listed up here. Once again, let's go back here and just click on this so we can verify that. So we have 4 dashboards, and we have 4 dashboards listed here. And then once again, we click on these and make changes to that. So we can see that our dashboard pops up right away, and it's available to us in our custom portal. And we can go ahead and we can click around in here just as we can right within Cognos Analytics. And once again, all of our functionality is still available to us here. So we can filter this by personal auto. And we can do those changes. So nice and simple. We can see right away that by using this technique, we can grab a list of URLs and populate a portal very quickly. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you is another version of a portal. So once we have this technique and we kick off this technique and we have it all set, the way it looks and feels in our portal It's completely up to us, or completely up to the designer or the developer, or whatever requirements we might have. So this is just another version of that same portal. So once again, let me go back to reports here. Let's get the ID for standard reports. And then once again, I had a text box set up here so that I could manually add folder IDs. And when we click on this, we can see automatically we have our reports again populated. The only difference here is instead of having our reports listed on the left-hand side, I created a grid of the reports. And each box in this grid allows us to add some additional information here. I have the name of the report, the type of the report, an HR report, an icon indicating that, and the last time this report was updated. I can also grab the report description if I wanted to include it in here. But then, just as the other one, once I click on this, it opens up in an iframe right here on the page. So here it comes, and we can see that it opens up, and we can also hide this so we can make that just a little bit bigger. And as you can see that it automatically or dynamically resizes. And then we can also close that, brings it back to where we were before. And just want to run one other one here so that we can make sure that it is indeed working correctly. And as that's coming up here, let me go ahead and close this part right here. Once again, if I click on this, we can see that it automatically resizes or dynamically resizes. And then once again, you can close it out to get back to our grid. And that's basically it. I just wanted to give you a quick demonstration of that. So in conclusion here, I just want to go over some of these points. So custom portals are really great for distributing small subsets of reports to consumers. And this is particularly true of consumers who are really just going to read a report. They're not really your power users that are going to take advantage of creating models or creating specific databases, or ones that are going to click around the Cognos Analytics portals to go to different folders. They have a certain subset of reports that they're interested in, and this portal is perfect for giving them just those reports. They can go right to them without having to navigate around the Cognos Analytics. In addition, parameterized URLs would provide additional functionality. So in the demonstrations I gave here, I really didn't take advantage of those, but it would be quite easy to add a button, say, to allow a user to change the format that the report is in. If they wanted to download the data, we could give them a button to run the report as an Excel or a CSV. Or if they wanted to print it, we could give them an option to run the report as a PDF. As you saw, I used two different portals to show different looks and feels that we can achieve. So the look and feel of the portal is completely up to you, or completely up to the requirements that you want to meet. We can create this portal to fit the look and feel of your existing intranet site, or to meet some specific requirements that we have for HR versus finance. So now, and as I mentioned before, the technique used to pull this report list is not really very hard, but you do need to have that JavaScript knowledge. You need to know how to do those HTTP requests and how to parse out the JSON that gets returned. And that's very important because, again, this is an undocumented technique. So if you run into any problems trying to figure out how to pass that token or how to parse that JSON that comes back, you're not going to get any help from IBM Cognos support. But if you do have any problems, you can always fall back to hard coding your URLs. As I mentioned before, that works very well. So the portals that you saw, we could quite simply just hard code those URLs either in the grid portal or in the first simple portal that I showed with the list of reports on the side. That works very well, particularly if your reports are not going to change very often, or if you're not going to create too many portals. That works very well. If you are going to create a lot of portals, or if the content changes very often, you can always use the SDK to get that dynamic list of reports and URLs. And then finally, if you like this video, then be sure to subscribe to this channel. The code that I used for that first portal that I showed, I will be posting that out to GitHub as soon as I reach my goal of 101 subscribers. And the same is true for my previous video, the one with D3 and IBM Cognos Analytics. And then finally, if you need any help, feel free to reach out to me. If it's a simple question, go ahead and pop it into the comments section. But if you need some more in-depth help, maybe help creating some of these portals from scratch, feel free to drop me an email or contact me on LinkedIn. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much.